We are here to talk about human nature. Let us begin.
As a general rule, I try to end each of my video essays on a hopeful note. Usually by highlighting a positive example or some alternative to whatever socio-political issue I'm discussing. And most people appreciate that approach.
Counterpoint, humans are terrible. Limp Bizkit, slavery, the prosecution rests.
But inevitably, there are a few cynics who argue that human nature itself prevents us from changing the way the world works.
Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague.
We are selfish, base animals. We try real hard, we can occasionally aspire to something that is less than pure evil.
Humans are savage in nature.
These cynics fall back on the false myth that human nature is somehow naturally selfish, domineering, or predatory. Spoiler, it's not. But they cherry-pick the worst moments in history to back up their assertion, pointing to war, poverty, or other forms of systemic oppression. While those injustices are indeed real, they're the result of structural issues, and not a fatal flaw in humanity itself.
The outside world is a dangerous place, filled with horrible, selfish people.
The idea that we have a monster lurking within our genes isn't new, nor is it based in science. But it is, nonetheless, a common perspective shared by many otherwise decent people.
In conclusion, humans are dangerous animals and can never be trusted.
People suck, they suck, and make no mistake about it, even sweet little old lady.
Don't you know anything? People are awful. They'll rob you blind if you ain't watching.
The thing is, most of those who loudly proclaim that humanity sucks don't really believe what they're saying.
I suspect that under that cynical shell, you're at heart a sentimentalist.
By way of explanation, let's turn to legendary political scholar Noam Chomsky, who used to do a rhetorical experiment relating to human nature involving an ice cream cone.
Wow!
The gist of the thought exercise goes like this. Imagine it's one of those boiling hot summer days. You look out your window and see a child walking down the street enjoying an ice cream cone. As you watch, you notice a big guy come along. He sees the kid, sees the ice cream, and suddenly grabs the cone, swats the kid aside, and walks off happily eating his stolen dessert. Chomsky would then ask the cynic, do you think to yourself, there goes a perfectly normal and natural example of human behavior? Predictably, the answer is almost always, no, of course not. Upon witnessing that series of events, most people would think that guy is a raging psychopath. His behavior transparently reprehensible. Many onlookers would then go console the kid, and probably get them another ice cream.
Well, okay. Thanks.
The point of that story is this. If the cynic truly believed that human beings were inherently violent and selfish, someone taking candy from a baby wouldn't bother them.
Pish posh! It would be like taking candy from a baby. Say, that sounds like a larf.
But of course, the majority of people are rightly horrified.
Get that camera out of my face!
Those are children.
The assertion that humanity is rotten to the core is almost always a way to rationalize and excuse the existence of oppression. And, conveniently, to let cynics off the hook for any responsibility they might have to other people. Because if selfishness and domination were truly hardwired into our very genes, then that would mean that working to change the world or make it a better place
Stop global warming?
would be a pointless waste of time.
Simple no thanks would do!
I decided a while ago to sort of give up and stop trying to make sense of things altogether, because the only way to really live in this is to embrace the fact that nothing matters.
The cynic can then sit back and feel smugly superior to the rest of us poor saps who are out here fighting against injustice.
Workers of the world, unite! You have nothing to lose but your chains.
What's happened to you?
It's not hard to see why such a cynical worldview is so widespread. Some religions preach that if left to our own devices, humans are inherently evil.
You're going to hell. Just as long as you won't be there.
News media highlights the worst deviant acts night after night after night.
It's a simple concept, guys. If it bleeds, it leads.
And popular entertainment feeds us an endless stream of stories featuring a parade of goons and murderers and villains. Communications researcher George Gerbner gave a name to the media-induced feeling that everyone is out to get us. He called the phenomenon the mean world syndrome. Among other things, it's why so many people consistently think that crime is getting worse and worse, even when the numbers are actually going down. We also see Hollywood reinforcing cynicism in more subtle ways.
I don't know why you're so shocked. People are basically just monsters hiding behind the thin veneer of social convention.
Oh, come on. I mean, yeah, sure, there's a few naughty Nathans out there, but most people are basically good.
For instance, whenever a character expresses that people are fundamentally good, they are almost always portrayed as hopelessly naive.
There's no unselfish good deeds, sorry.
Yes, there are. There are totally good deeds that are selfless.
Well, may I ask for one example?
Yeah, it's, there's... No, you may not.
That, or lying for personal gain.
Let me tell you something. People are fundamentally good. The key is you find that goodness deep within them. Twist it and turn it to your advantage.
I should say that Chomsky also makes the point that, scientifically speaking, very, very little is actually known about human nature. Humanity is just far too complex. While it's obviously true that human beings are capable of a wide range of behaviors, including aggression and empathy and everything in between, Chomsky's ice cream anecdote illustrates something important. Human beings are remarkably social creatures who have a strong tendency to practice what Peter Kropotkin famously called mutual aid.
It's hard down there at the bottom.
People routinely give away their food and their own money
Here you go.
to help those they've never met. People put themselves at risk to save total strangers.
Ice cream back there!
People even risk their lives to save animals.
I liked helping people that I hadn't even met before.
Have a dumpling.
What we don't do is sit down at the dinner table together and then proceed to fight over the food, taking as much for ourselves as possible. That's not how human beings behave, even when there's not enough food to go around.
Go on, take it.
The idea of care for others and concern for other people's needs and concern for a fragile environment that must sustain future generations, all of these things are part of human nature.
Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating for the power of positive thinking. There's no virtue in delusion or ignoring harsh realities. But it is possible to both acknowledge the world as it exists and also believe the status quo can be changed. If we take a step back, history does give us some clues about what human nature could be. Human beings have come together in solidarity to abolish the institution of slavery, to abolish child labor, and to abolish hereditary monarchies. Well, at least most of them. Of course, there's always much more work to be done, but dismantling those powerful, once ubiquitous institutions is a profound accomplishment once thought impossible.
It's proof that humans are not bad, full stop, end of story.
Within the past century, people have come together to win significant rights for women, people of color, and the LGBT community.
Ready to change the world?
The relatively new environmentalist movement has made major progress towards the protection of future generations.
Power to the people!
As Martin Luther King famously said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. So when the news cycle feels especially bleak and hopeless, as it often does,
God bless America.
it can be easy to fall into cynical ways of thinking. But it's important to remember that we are not trapped by a fictional monster in our genes.
The truth is, the pathetically
stupidly, inconveniently obvious truth is helping only ourselves is bad and helping each other is good.
A few things we do know for certain about human beings. We absolutely love ice cream, we behave in altruistic ways all the time, and when we act in solidarity with others, we radically transform the way the world works. Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I hope you enjoyed that video. If you'd like to see more like it, please consider going over to Patreon to support this channel there. I've also left some links below to PayPal and a wish list and some other ways that you can support. Really, every little bit helps. Now, I've got a bunch of other projects in the works, including one on the myth of the alpha male and how it propagates through popular culture. Another one on colonialism in modern board games, and finally something on Willy Wonka and the more troubling aspects of that story. I've also got a bigger project in the works that I can't quite talk about yet, but if you make sure you're subscribed, you'll get updates. So please share and like and feed the algorithm, and I will see you back here again very soon.